Guys, welcome back to Consoling Me. Today we are going to be doing a little preview of Washington's upcoming game against the Detroit Lions. Nothing special. We're just going to sit down and we're going to go over some of the stats. Just talk about the game, and then I'm going to tell what I honestly think will happen, what I think the prediction will be, and we're going to go ahead and start off. So, just to start off, the Lions are 4-point favorites in this game. They're expected to win. I'm pretty sure Kerryon Johnson might actually be injured, but I should have written down all the injuries. But yeah, so that's a pretty big loss for the Lions. I'm looking at stuff. Big news for Washington is that Alex Smith actually last week he went out there and he played pretty well. Definitely didn't play as well as he had a few years back, but he definitely looked similar to that. He threw for over 300 yards in just under 3 quarters. And in my opinion, I think he played, obviously looking back at how he did against the Rams with just under 40 yards, and look at this with over 300 yards. He played a bit more in this last game, but still that is a huge improvement. And yes, the Rams are a lot better than the Giants. And in my opinion, I think after a week of having starting reps in practice and knowing that he's going to start, again, Kyle Allen got injured right after, a few minutes into the second quarter, and that forced Alex Smith to go in there, and he still played this well. I think with a week of, really good practice, he will be able to knock a lot of that rust off. He'll be able to, get more into things, and especially going into the game knowing he's going to be playing. I think that he will definitely play a lot better. Now, also, on the Lions side, you do have a very good quarterback in Matthew Stafford. He had an off game last week, but I do think he will continue. I think he'll bounce back. They looked good in the rest of the games, and I think they'll continue to look good. Another thing, Terry McLaurin, he has 2 games in a row with over 50-yard reception for a touchdown, and those are mostly his fault. Like in the first game, he completely burnt a Cowboys defender, and in this last game, he caught the ball and he juked out a couple players and got down the field. This will be a pretty good matchup. Well, not matchup, but this will be a pretty good game to watch because Adrian Peterson, who was released by Washington like a week before the season was supposed to start, got signed by the Lions. He will be playing against his former team. He is right now the Lions' leading rusher. He is, looking stat-wise, he is worse than Antonio Gibson. Washington's surprising running back. He is a rookie and he is doing great. 5 touchdowns, almost 400 yards on less carries than Adrian Peterson. 4.3 average, 4.3 yards per carry for Gibson, and 3.8 average yards per carry for Peterson. Sorry. They're doing pretty good. And Washington also has a pretty good running back in Jared McKission. Forget it. Another bad thing will be Dustin Hopkins. Washington's kicker has not been that accurate this year. You can say the same for Matt Prater, but he has attempted more. So, yeah. Again, kicking probably doesn't mean anything, but it's still okay. It's something to mention. But yeah, I think that it'll be a pretty good game. You also look at Washington. Now let's go transfer over to defense. Washington's defense is, I think, they definitely are doing really well. I think they got 5 sacks last week despite the fact that they lost. Their defense is doing really well. Their offense last week led up 5 turnovers, and then the defense turned around and held the Lions to 23 points. Don't know how many points they got off of turnovers, but definitely could have been a lot more. I don't think they even scored 5 times, did they? No, they didn't even score 5 times. Yeah, so it would have... No, they did score 5 times, but I'm pretty sure a lot of those didn't come off of turnovers. Also looking at... a lot of people like to talk about that defensive front 7. You have to look at their secondary. I think they're like 4th in interceptions. They have 8 interceptions this season. Half of them coming from... I can't think of his name. What's his name? They have one... Keenan Allen? No, that's a Chargers receiver. I don't know, but they've got they've got a pretty good cornerback group. The huge bad spot that you'll see on that defense, really the one thing they need to work on that defense is their safety. Their safeties are not good in the slightest. But other than that, their defense is definitely probably top 10 in the league. That'll be a really tough, especially if Matt Stafford plays like he did last week. I think Washington probably wins this game. If he plays like normal, I think it'll be a pretty good one. And looking at this, Lions are 4-point favorites. I definitely agree with that. I think the Lions will win. I think that they are a good enough team. I think Washington, again, I know I was talking like Alex Smith is really good. We also have to look, he did play pretty badly against the Rams. And I think I think he'll have a pretty good game, but I don't think it'll be good enough. I think the Lions win. If you want to see my score prediction, I have a full video on all my score predictions, so go check that out. But yeah, definitely think it'll be a pretty good game to watch, especially, I mean, you'll get to see Alex Smith making a great comeback, and you'll get to see Adrian Peterson going up against his former team. I think he'll have a pretty good game. Last week, I know I was talking a lot about their front seven. They did have a pretty bad rushing defense. Now, looking at, the past games, hasn't really been a trend, but still, say if Washington's defense plays like that on the running game, it's definitely going to be harder for them to win. But yeah, Washington's really only hope. Washington, what needs to, okay, I'm going to start doing this thing at the end of my videos where I talk about what needs to go right for each team. What needs to go right for each team is Washington, their best case scenario is Alex Smith. It's really all about the quarterbacks. Alex Smith needs to go in there and he needs to play his best game. Their defense needs to step it up on the rushing defense, and Matt Stafford needs to have a pretty bad game again like he did last week. Now looking at the Lions, they need Washington to kind of have the same type of game. They need to know the fact that they do have a better defense than the Giants, so they should probably be able to hold Alex Smith looking at how he did last week. They need Washington to stay consistent, and they need Matthew Stafford to step it up, because even if Washington plays exactly the way they did last week, if Matthew Stafford plays badly, it will be a pretty good game. But if the Washington football team gets worse or stays the same as they were last week, it'll be a pretty easy win for a Matthew Stafford in his prime, not in his prime, but as good as he was 2 weeks ago, team. Anyways, thank you guys all so much for watching. Stay tuned. Tomorrow I should have my reaction to that game, and if not tomorrow, then Monday. I don't know. A lot of times I'm busy on Sundays. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope to see you in the next one, like I just said, my next one. Please subscribe to this channel. We post NFL content every single day, predictions, power rankings, recaps, reactions, all kinds of stuff going on every single day of every single week, unless, like I said, I'm busy on Sunday, which has been happening these past couple of weeks. But anyways, ignore that. Go follow myself in the description, and I hope to see you in the next one. In fact, I don't know. I'll see you in the next one. Or else.